Am I Mental is a live podcast, and as such, we start each episode with a 5-minute instrumental to allow people to join the chat room and not miss the beginning of our actual broadcast. If you are listening to this after it has been aired, feel free to skip ahead to the 5-minute and 30-second mark in order to pick up the episode. Otherwise, if you like instrumentals, enjoy. The following broadcast is intended for mature audiences. These are real people sharing very real, deeply personal experiences. This content may be considered triggering for others and for those who are sharing. The chat room is a privilege intended for discussions and sharing. You are not being asked to agree, but you are being asked to stay civil and refrain from personal attacks. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome back to Am I Mental? A live podcast where real people share stories about how life impacts mental health and how mental health impacts life. I'm your host, E. With us, as always, tonight is co-host Oz.
What's up in my mental fam?
And tonight's episode, we're going to do something that we haven't done before. We are throwing in another disclaimer here. This episode could get very dark. I mean, talking about mental health could be dark to begin with, but
guys, I need a few minutes, so do your thing while I get started.
Sorry about that. All right, so yeah, as I was saying, that we normally, we do talk about some pretty heavy subjects here because mental health is a serious subject, but this time we are talking about things that are potentially with dealing with violence, torture, death. We're talking some pretty dark and heavy shit here. And I don't like to swear too much in this little intro part, but it's appropriate because of what we are about to deal with. And right now, our guest, Verwümschgeist, is what he's going by. He is going through something right now. I've asked him to unmute when he's ready. In the meantime, if you want to help us out, with what we're doing here, you can go to mimental.net. Right now, we are aware that the security certificate, you're going to be getting errors. We've already put in a request for the new security certificate to be installed with our host a week ago. It hasn't been done yet. I'm about to jump in and do the what the hell, and start getting pissy and start being like, because it's your money that I'm paying for their service, and they're not providing the service that we're supposed to be getting. So I'm a little bit upset about that.
Sometimes you got to be the squeaky wheel so you get the grease.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's true for most aspects of life.
Yeah. So, but you could always go to mimental.net/donate. If you get blocked by your browser, there's always a way around the thing. It's going to say, hey, it looks like they may be impersonating. We're not impersonating. It's just an expired certificate. You can get around it. The browsers don't make it easy, but it is doable. And there's a number of ways you can donate there. We have Venmo, we have Cash App, we have subscription-based through Stripe and LibrePay. And all that money goes right back into the podcast. It goes for the hosting that we're paying for that I'm going to be dealing with. It goes towards the storage and hosting of this podcast. And soon we are starting to get up there a little bit with what we're getting to where we can actually start doing some advertising, which could only help.
You can also donate your thoughts, your emotions at our Discord page. Also at mimental.net, the icon top right-hand corner is a invite to our Discord server. You come and be part of the Am I Mental fam. Share your thoughts. There's many ways that you can help us out, and that's a big one. We really are trying to build a community around what we do, so none of us feel alone at the end of the day. And you could be part of that community by involving yourself in the chats that take place there.
Or just come and lurk. Sometimes that's all you need. I know that I'm normally a lurker. So it's kind of a little bit weird for me to actually be really active in Discord, but I have to be because it's like, this is something I helped to create. So yeah, but yeah, I know that even just lurking and reading other people's conversations can really help too, because it can a lot of times they can be talking about something that you can apply to yourself. All right, Geist, are we back?
Yeah, I'm back. I'm just I'm trying to find myself a place to be. The situation that developed didn't resolve quite the way I thought it would. but that's okay. But I am here.
All right, so why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, your name, the meaning, and what we're going to be talking about tonight?
Okay. Verwümschgeist is German. Translates to cursed or damned soul or spirit. Which I claim as a moniker because, well, I am damned. Let's see, where can I be? In terms of what I'm going to talk about, I'm going to tell a story. I'm not, as I mentioned to you a couple days ago, Eric, I'm not trying to be anybody's hero, example, inspiration, or anything like that. I don't need that shit. What I am going to do is tell my story and hope that it's a cautionary tale for people. Because no small amount of my mental health problems are a direct result of choices I made.
That's fair.
I'm 55 years old. I grew up in San Antonio, Texas, being raised by a very abusive fellow, which was interesting because he figured out real early on that beating me was not going to work. And since that wouldn't work, he had to find something else that did. My siblings, he enacted various forms of abuse on.
Was part of that possibly, if I can't hurt you, I can hurt your siblings in order to hurt you?
Yeah, I think so. Because he knew that I was basically trained that I'm the oldest. I am the responsible one. Look out for your brother and your sister. Look out for your mom, etc., and so forth. So he could really play on that when he was doing stuff to them. Hey, Davon. Okay, I have found a spot. And while he never explicitly said, there was often a very clear subtext of, I can't physically hurt you, but some protector of your siblings you are.
Sounds like emotional terrorism.
Yeah.
Yeah. As I told Eric also.
Name drops again.
I'm sorry?
He dropped my name twice now.
Oh, hey, man.
It's all right.
It happens.
It's your fault. It's your fault for having the pre-show meeting. Ha.
Oh, I see how it is. All right. Touche. Okay, you're very muffled right now.
How's that?
Oh, much better now.
Yep,
Okay.
we can hear you.
Truth took on a certain elasticity when I was growing up.
Okay, you're very, very quiet. Like when you were walking, we could hear you perfectly clear.
It might be because I'm okay. Is that better?
Oh, much better.
Perfect. Oh yeah, best so far.
So I told Eric during the pre-show meeting that I would work really, really, really hard to not stand the truth on its head. Now, what does that look like, you might ask? Best example I can think of. I haven't had but 3 beers today. And it's true, only had 3 beers. I didn't say they were the big 24-ounce bottles, and that therefore I, in effect, drank a 6-pack. I had 3 beers.
No, that's fair.
Okay?
Yep.
I didn't lie to you, but I was not exactly honest.
And like I said, and I was really happy to hear that you are an avid reader and that you have read The Wheel of Time, because that's exactly how Aes Sedai speak. The truth that you hear is not always the truth that they speak.
So, when I turned 17, I joined the Navy. Had a fine career planned for myself. And it was at that time that the one and only discussion around my mental health ever happened. I was having a really bad day for some reason. My head was just going on. And I was visibly having a hard time. My egg donor smacked me upside the head that you don't grip on yourself.
Okay, you're getting really muffled again.
Yeah. It might be picking up off the audio on your speakers instead of your headset. If the phone's moving around, it might be blocking one of the speakers.
How's that?
Still pretty muffled.
How's that?
Much better.
Okay.
I mean, it's still muffled, but better. Not as good as like earlier on.
Okay. How's that?
Oh, perfect.
Great.
Okay. These were given to me, and they're little cheapies, so I'm not surprised that I've got to have my phone like right here to be able to use them. Oh yeah, they'll kick you, smack upside the head. Get a grip on yourself, because if you don't, they'll kick you out before you even get in. That was the conversation around mental health.
Now that sounds about 80s of it.
Yeah, this was in early 1985, not too long before I left. I was still in high school at the time. So my adult life has been lived, a sizable portion. I lived undiagnosed with anything. All I knew is that something wasn't right. And I'm going to have to backtrack a bit because I think it's important. Because it'll give you an idea of just how early I knew something wasn't right in Dave's head. When I was 13 or 14, I had a paper route. And a couple of my customers on the paper route gave me some record albums. A couple of Led Zeppelin albums. My egg donor at the time was working in the bar business, and she didn't want to come home finding her kids sprawled out on the couch on the living room floor as a love seat or anything like that. If she came home, she wanted her kids to be in bed.
Okay.
Well, I fell asleep on the couch. My sister, bless her pointy little head, tries to get me to get up and go to bed. Wasn't working. So she grabs my record out and hides them. I lost it. I am convinced that the only reason my sister still breathes is that so-called last shred of sanity. I pounced on her. I started choking her. And two things immediately occurred to me as this was going on. One, her face was turning an awfully odd shade of purple. And two, I really liked how I was feeling right in that moment.
Oof.
I liked it a lot. And it scared me. So I let her go. She dutifully got out my record albums and put them where they were before she took them. And I toddled off to my bed. So, from that time onward, I knew I needed to get a grip on this part of myself if I didn't want to go to prison or get killed or anything like that.
You learn what you were capable of early on and recognize that it can turn real dark real quick, it sounds like.
Mm-hmm. And it was always a bit of a struggle. But somehow I managed to get a grip and like that. In 1996, I was parking cars for a living and putting together money to leave Texas to come out here. My sperm donor's wife at the time had been leaning on me to come out and be amongst the fam and all of that. And so I was working on that. And then I came out here. I found over the years from 13 or 14 to when I moved out here that part of my head could be mollified. I would play violent video games, listen to angry heavy metal, action flicks. I mean, anything that would feed the little rage monster and keep it something approaching happy was a thing I was willing to do. January 1st, 1997, I arrived in California. I started studying martial arts. And I have to tell you, I found something that did an awful lot all at once. The violence of martial arts training had its appeal.
I'm sorry, guys. You're kind of
a little bit
again.
muffled again. Yeah.
The violence of martial arts training really appealed. I think another problem that may be arising is that my top denture plate is broke, so I don't have my teeth in. And it makes my speech a little muddy and hard to understand. So by all means, say, hey, dude, we're not understanding you. Say it again.
All right.
Yeah, it was at that. It sounds like sometimes the audio sounds like you're underwater.
Yeah.
And it's
like it's really quiet, really muddled. Like, yeah, it sounds like, as Os was saying, it's underwater and like a mile away.
Yeah, it happens all the time. It's not just you.
No, exactly. It's part of the platform.
You're talking about martial arts.
Yeah, I mean, it fed my spirit, it fed my body,
It kept the beastie in my head quiet, which, sounds probably a little counterintuitive. You study violence to learn how to not be violent.
Well, I mean, that is also a big part of martial arts
Well,
training.
yeah, I was gonna say I've done mixed martial arts for a long time, and and that was a key part of it. It was instead, yeah, it's focused instead of you know when you focus it, it doesn't consume you because you control it.
Um, in 2004, I traveled for about 3.5 months. Um, Came back. I had come to the conclusion that what I was doing was no longer working for me. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're
Yep.
muffled, but we can hear you.
Oh, okay, there you are.
I may need to switch to the wired. I think these are proving to be problematic, but we'll see. So I hit the road, I traveled, and when I came back, I got into the security business.
Was that security like personal protection or security as in protecting a place?
Yes. I've done everything from residential security, retail security, anti-terrorism, force protection work, robbery suppression, high threat close protection.
Okay.
There's very little in the security realm that I haven't done. In 2007, I met a young lady who will not be named. And she found herself suckered over to Italy. And it wasn't long after she got there that shit started getting weird around her. And I started working with, I told her, you need to get some close protection, et cetera, and so forth. And I started working very closely with her security detail. We couldn't figure out who the big bad was. The guys that were coming and making runs at her, weren't the brightest bulbs in the tool shed, and couldn't keep the things they were doing going, in my opinion. We had a guy that we had called. I would ask questions of these guys, very pointed questions. And this guy had twigged to the notion that I'm not telling you shit. Why not? Well, you're just going to hurt me and turn me loose when you're done with me, but no matter what I say. Oh, it's like that. So I pull my client aside and I inform her that dude's got a point. And I can unleash evil and really get after things, but it won't be pretty and it won't be nice and it won't be fun. She gave her green light. Now, a really fucked individual would go, well, I had permission. And for some time, that was my mentality. Well, she said I could do it. But the reality of it is, chose. I made the choice to unleash the evil. And found Nietzsche to be correct. Friedrich Nietzsche was a very smart guy and is credited with saying, when you look into the void long enough, it looks back into you. First-hand experience, this is very true. He also said, be careful hunting monsters, lest a monster you become. Again, personal experience, this is also very true. Nietzsche forgot to mention something, though. See, when I decided to unleash evil, I dove right the fuck in. I dived in head fucking first, and like that. When you do that, and you're trying to get back out, he didn't mention that shit sticks to you.
Oz is nodding approval on that.
Yeah, it rings true for my past. A very, very violent one. You may leave it behind, but it stays with you.
You may leave it, but it doesn't leave you. Would that be a fair statement?
Yeah.
Yes.
I left the life long ago, and my head is still to this day always on a swivel.
Yep. For some time now, I've been trying to come back to myself, and it's only, I want to say, in the last 6 months to a year that I've come to some of the conclusions I have. I can blame this young lady all I want. I can. It doesn't change the fact that ultimately I'm the one that made the choice to dive right in.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't take long for the things I was doing to become an end unto themselves. I wasn't actually getting closer to the people I was trying to get to. Hello?
Hello.
We can hear you.
Okay, you can hear me. Okay.
Yeah, we're just captivated by your story.
Yeah.
And I am responsible, both directly and indirectly, for I don't know how many deaths. I know it's a lot, but I couldn't tell you how many. I think if I could, that'd be cause for concern, in all honesty.
Mm-hmm.
I became the monster I never wanted to be. That was a hallmark of my adult life. I did not want to be a monster, and I was scared shitless of becoming one. And then I became one. This young lady and I wound up getting together. And in the time we've been together, I have abused her in every way you can think of.
No, we lost your audio. Sorry.
You're
Yeah,
very
it's
muffled
really,
again.
yeah.
Hang on. Give me just a minute. At least with the wired ones, we know where.
No worries.
Yeah, it looks like he's getting the wire headphones on now. I think I understood what he said.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. There's a quote that I just had to look up, which is that made me think of this, which is we become what we fear, we become what we hate, we become what we judge. Be joy, be love, be compassion.
I like that quote.
Gordana Burnett, I think. I'm massacring her first name. I'm horrible with names.
There was one that I heard just recently. It was guys saying, I have fucked up a number of times in my life. And when I do, I hear the words coming from my mouth of, you fucking idiot. What'd you think was going to happen? You always fucked shit up. You're terrible. Yeah. And it's like, and if I talk to my friends the way I talk to myself, I would have no friends.
Yeah.
So learn to become your own best friend and start talking like it.
It is really hard to be the friend to yourself that you are to others.
Yeah.
Yeah. I abused this woman physically, sexually, emotionally, financially. There is not a single type of abuse that I cannot think that I haven't inflicted on this woman.
And it's clear just looking at your face as you're telling us this that you definitely regret it. I see a lot of remorse. You, Os?
Yeah, absolutely.
She and I these days cannot speak a civil word to each other. Understandable that. At one point, I thought, maybe if I get myself right, we can get back together, and everything will be okay. And just, no, wasn't going to happen. So, what am I doing nowadays? Let's see, I tried meds for a good minute. And I have a number of diagnoses, some which make sense, some that don't. I've been diagnosed with depression, schizoaffective disorder, and that's one that I don't quite buy into entirely. Intermittent explosive disorder, dissociative disorder, and some brand of PTSD.
Yeah, you were...
the PTSD part...
I can see that coming from your childhood.
Yeah, I think that's more from my childhood than anything else.
How do you see those things impacting your life today? And with a doctor putting a label on these things, did it give you understanding? Did it give you the ability to deal with any of those things any better?
Yes and no. Yes, in the sense that, this is the label for what appears to be going on in my head. Okay. And to a certain extent, it helps me, knowing those labels helps me to understand some of the why my head does the things it does.
Do you feel understanding the why gives you a better sense of control? Or are you able to see it when it's happening or is it just hindsight?
Some of it's hindsight.
Yeah, that's where I'm stuck a lot of the time. Helps me understand why I did the things in recent history. I wish
Yeah.
I was a lot better at going, oh, I'm being this way. I know I need to dial it back. Doesn't quite work out that way for me, though.
Mm. Now, I have arrived at a mode of thinking that helps me when my head is trying to go full tilt and pick a fight or tell me what a piece of shit I am or what have you. Um, and it's really pretty simple. Every day I wake up and realize that the gods saw fit to give me another day. Me, of all people, they gave me another day. I win. I win. I don't care what happens in my day. Good thing, bad thing, indifferent thing. It's easy to deal with because I've already won the day. So if I catch like here this past few days, I caught myself picking fights with my ex in my head. And I have to stop and remind myself, hey, dude, you won the day. Stop it. Most times my brain shuts up. Sometimes I got to tell it more than once.
Yeah.
But it by and large, it seems to work.
Where do you find yourself on those days it's not after the fact? So I find myself in situations where I know better. Beforehand, I know better, especially, with my current girlfriend. I can feel myself getting riled up, and I can see a mile ahead, and I know where it's heading, and I just can't get myself to shut the fuck up. In my head, I'm screaming, hit the brakes, pump the brakes, pump the brakes. My mouth is like, nope, nah, I'm not going to do that, And then, I know, 12 hours later, I'm begging for forgiveness because I've been an asshole again.
Yeah.
Um,
Unfortunately, and this does not excuse my bad behavior at all, but it does explain a thing or three. I would try to disengage. I need to walk away. No, really, I need to walk away. Really, I need to walk away. If you don't let me walk away, it's going to get worse. It's no dice. So things get worse. I've gotten violent. I don't remember any of those. I don't remember getting violent. At least not what I remember is the aftermath and finding her cowering in a corner against the wall, trying to get away from me. People talk about that red haze of rage. And I get that. I get that a lot. But when the violence happens, everything goes black.
it sounds like you disassociate when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't sure at first when you're describing it, like when you don't remember it. I was I was going to ask, is there substance or inebriation involved, or if is it just a flash of anger that makes everything go, or rage make everything go black?
Up until recent years, I could safely say that my drinking played a huge part in how I was. I don't drink these days. the only thing I do is smoke some weed, and I mainly smoke that for my knee. But I just, I get up, I soldier on, I do my thing, and if I can turn around and manage to help somebody in the process, then I do. If I can't, well, at least I tried.
And I'm hoping that by having you on here, that your story, that somebody could hear this and maybe make that decision that today's the day that I try to become a better human.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just thinking, I was trying to wrap all this in my head. And I think a big message here is the person you are today doesn't need to be the person you are tomorrow, or you were yesterday. Doesn't dictate who you are now.
Right.
And you can when you have visited evil upon others, you can make a conscious choice to not do that to the best of your ability. Some of us have rage and it gets out of control, but you can use it as fuel to be that change. That's certainly been the case with me. I've been in more altercations than I can remember, and I let the memories, I call them echoes of the past, keep me from doing that now. Where it used to be, I'd pop off at a bar at the drop of a hat just for the fun of it, just so I know I can get that feeling of how I feel like the big man on campus because I'll beat the brakes off of somebody. And now if I'm at a bar and somebody hits me, I'll take a step back and be like, whoa, you okay, man? You need a hug? Like, can I buy you a drink? You want to talk about it? And that is not the me of yesteryear, but it's because of the me of yesteryear that I think I'm able to be a calmer person now and more reserved, but try to keep it more mental than physical, when it comes to my interactions with people.
And just so you know, I just messaged Bexy your quote about the person you are today. Yeah, we're going to be making that a t-shirt because that was powerful.
Oh, thanks, sir. So guys, how do you let the person you were then be your North Star to how you are today? Because it sounds like you weren't happy with the person that you were back then. Maybe even back then you weren't happy with that person, but today you definitely don't want to be that individual anymore. Is that part of your North Star? Is that part of what kind of guides you to be a different person? The memories of not wanting to do that?
If I forget what I was, and then as far as I'm concerned, still am, then I will die alone with no one, not even friends. I will be miserable for the rest of my life. And probably wind up eating a bullet at some point. I'm not saying it would be like tomorrow or anything, but I can see if I continue to be the way I have, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, so, the spiral.
What I do now, I remind myself that I've won the day. I look for opportunities to help people. I will often ensure that I'm doing something to help someone, even if it means, for example, that I don't eat today.
Putting others first when that's not how you were in the past. Seeking out, sounds like you seek out helping people instead of seeking out getting over on people, which is a total paradigm shift.
Yeah.
So I've decided what I'm going to do with however many years of my life that I have. I'm trying to make things happen to make it go. But I'm going to go to the Ukraine and help people there. If they need help rebuilding their homes, okay. If they need help with rescuing people from bombed out buildings, okay. If they need me to pick up an AK and go forth and fuck shit up, well, okay. And that's how I intend to spend the rest of my life. Eric said a few days ago that he finds me to be a kind person, a good person. A few other superlatives were added on to that.
Hey, I don't say anything I don't mean.
Yeah.
And I think it's very kind that he has said so. And I think it's very kind that other people besides Eric are thinking well of me. But I know what I am. I know exactly what I am.
It sounds like you have a lot of ownership in your past. It sounds like you have a lot of ownership of your past. You own the person you were. You own your actions. You don't make excuses, and for them. You don't necessarily condone the things. Wouldn't condone others doing the things today that you did at a different time in your life, but you own them. And
I don't have a choice. It's life or death.
Yeah. There's a lot of people out there who you can't begin to confront your past, to change who you were, unless you own who you were. You don't have to like it, but you have to accept it, and that's where I think change starts to happen. It comes with, I think I've said it before, not today, but on other shows, right? We learn through humility, and we could be humble about our past and own them. And I have a hell of a lot of trouble doing that with my past sometimes. That's the only way we grow from it. And it sounds like you've started to do that. You've been doing it for a while.
Yeah, and the end result is that what I encountered when we first met was this kind, generous soul. Yeah, you have shit in your past. You have baggage. And you may have more baggage than I've ever run into. It doesn't change the fact that who you present today is a kind, gentle soul. And that means a lot.
Yeah, that's how Eric was talking to me about you. And that's basically how he presented you. I think, and it shows a lot that you've shared what you've shared today. And you haven't brought that up about yourself. But when you have other people speaking kind of you, but you're not doing it yourself, it shows an authenticity behind it. Sarah commented here.
Yeah, I was gonna read that one. Go for it.
Oh yeah,
I was just trying to find the right time.
Yeah, Sarah's my girlfriend. She sometimes co-hosts on the show. She's definitely my better half and the person I've talked about that I piss off a lot. But she made a comment listening to your story. She said, I've been learning about complex PTSD a lot in her own therapy. Instead of one single episode causing it, it's multiple episodes over and over, getting ingrained into who you are, and is taking a lot just to unravel it. She feels for you. This has been a conversation that her and I have been having in a little bit, because I think a lot of people, especially our listeners, are familiar with PTSD. You can have a single traumatic experience that you're spooked for that, forever. A simple example is as a child, you're bit by a snake, and for the rest of your life, you're terrified of snakes.
Yeah.
Right.
It may not even have been a venomous snake. It's just the concept.
Yeah, just the concept will scare you. Where complex PTSD doesn't have to be that traumatic of an experience to that degree where you're shaken to your soul. It could be something that you knew to your core was wrong, and being exposed to it again and again and again, even in bite-sized amounts, especially if it's over a long period of time, that's when you start to get into complex PTSD. And when you're, and this isn't something I've talked about with her, but just kind of observing life. I think those who have been exposed to traumatic things are often aligned to have, what's that?
Traumatic what?
Oh,
traumatic things.
Traumatic things. So okay. Those who've been exposed to traumatic things, just the way they come out on the other side of them, are predisposed to experience even more traumatic things as they go through life. And that's tough.
Still there? We're getting buzzing.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay.
I'm still here. See, hi.
Yep. There we go. Yeah, the audio was getting a little rough. We've heard some of the harsher things that you've done in life, and
I know there's a lot more. I mean, even on our pre-show, we talked about totally different things, but still, same vein.
My thoughts are just to kind of show that people can change. Eric wouldn't have this opinion, such a high opinion of you, if you weren't a great guy now. What are some of the things that you've done in a positive light since you've changed? So we know you try to help people. And what I'm getting from you, and I just met you, so I don't really know you, but I'm kind of getting the idea that you're not the type of guy who is going to sell the brightest version of you because you own who you were. But I think who you were is just a small part, well, a large part, if I'm going to be honest, of who you are. Well, but it's not you in your entirety.
Well, I would say a good comparison, if you ever watched the movie Fight Club, his past is like Fight Club. It's central to who he was, but it's also not the biggest part of who he is.
Yeah, I feel that as well.
I can go with that.
Yeah.
Excellent book, by the way. The author actually liked the film better than he liked his own book.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I love that film. But kind of like you were saying, how you were super drawn to the ultraviolent. When you were younger, that's me all day long. Like it is first-person shooter video games. I am a strong Second Amendment supporter. I love watching UFC, and it's weird. I've become really desensitized to violence, but I'm drawn to it at the same time. Like if stuff pops off at a bar, doesn't bother me.
Let me guess. You're not the one that's going to go and swing, and you're going to be the one judging.
Well, exactly. Well, I mean, so there's an incident with one of my exes where we were at a bar and stuff popped off. She starts to freak out, and I was sitting on a bar stool, and she was in front of me, and I just kind of motioned her. I just kind of pushed her behind me, but I didn't get up from the bar stool. I was like, if anyone's going to take a hit, it'll be me, but I'm not involved, so I'm not worried. And she's freaked out, and she's like, I can't believe somebody hit somebody. And I was like, why can't you believe that? Like, you smell that in the air? That's booze and testosterone. Like, it's gonna pop off. you know, but yeah. So I get to being drawn to it. But as I've gotten older, and I've consciously trying to keep my violent past in my past, and I think I've been really good at that. I'm gonna pat myself on the back. I've had quite a few opportunities to let that beast out, and I haven't. And now I find myself, I've got drawn to the violent video games. I'm not only watching like the killer flicks. Like Sarah, my favorite show to watch. Like at the end of the day, we're burnt out. We're watching Port Protection. Some people trying to survive in rural Alaska on a little island. And our favorite thing is watching this guy named Curly cut down trees, and Sam, this character named Sam, welding shit. Like, I feel like I've gotten boring, but with boring, I've found happiness. And that's kind of nice. Like, give me a boring life.
I watch cooking competitions. So.
Yeah, that's Sarah. Sarah and her son.
Excuse me.
You're good.
Yeah, like as us was starting there, like I mean, what? I could only say from what I see, and I've only seen a little bit from you. But like I said, all I've ever seen from you is you're a great conversationalist. You're well read. You're a deep thinker. And I know I know you as kind. I know you as a gentle soul.
It sounds like that's by design.
Yeah.
Right.
But I mean, even if it's a fake it until you make it, you're faking it pretty damn well. I'll say that if you're faking it.
Yeah. What I've experienced is those who have been capable of vast violence will always be capable of vast violence. You have to make the choice to not be violent. Right. And it sounds like you've made that choice. With the exception, going and helping those out in Ukraine.
Yeah, you might have to get violent over there.
You go from violence, and this may not be well received by our audience, but I believe violence is a tool. We'll never have a world without violence. It would be nice if nobody ever visited violence on somebody, but violence is a tool, and it can be used for good.
Yeah, and in my opinion, people who think that violence is never an answer are deluding themselves.
Yeah.
Like I've been fortunate that I've never had to resort to violence, but I know that if I have to, I will.
Let somebody threaten your kids. That'll change in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Someone threatens one of my kids.
It'll be a heartbeat. Yeah.
Someone threatens one of my kids, and I'm going to be on top of them, pressing them down against that cement, and I'm going to be using my hands just to lift their heads and smash their skull into the sidewalk. And I'm sorry, that's horrible. It's terrible, but that's my kids.
Yeah. Those who've said that they'll never be violent have never been pushed to their limit.
They've never been put in a position where violence becomes an option.
Yeah.
And the reality of it is, again, this is purely in my experience and in my opinion, violence is always a possibility. It's always an option. It doesn't mean that I'm saying it's the first option. But it is an option.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen enough people just driving on the freeway. Someone's tailgating them. They slam on the brakes, jump out of the car with a pistol in hand. Yeah. Violence is always an option. Not my choice, but it's there. And if I'm the one that gets confronted with that gun being pointed at me, I'm stomping on the gas. I'm just saying. Because at that point, you made it clear it's my life or yours.
Yeah. Yeah. What are some of the things that were brought up in the pre-show that I missed? I wish I would have made it.
No. So there was one thing you brought up about
Regrets. I remember we talked about some things I regretted.
Yeah, and also talked about a guy and his hands, if you want to go there.
Yeah. So, okay. Um, one of the guys I captured was protesting his not bad guyness, and I had begun himself and putting him in very uncomfortable and painful positions.
Now, one question I didn't ask before, and I was saving it for tonight, and you could always just say no answer. That's fine. I get it.
Okay.
When you say that what did you think that he had done? Like, you said that he's protesting his not bad guyness. What bad did you think that he did or was responsible for?
He was part of a team that was there to kidnap my client.
I would call that, bad guyness right there.
Yep, that would be a bad guy.
Yep.
So I've got him, in a very painful and uncomfortable set of positions, and he's not backing down. Most people when they're put in, a painful position, will usually, but not always, but usually, start telling you anything they think you want to hear.
Oh, that's a survival tool.
He didn't do that. He kept maintaining and maintaining and maintaining. And he wasn't helped by the notion, by the salient fact that his brother was in fact one of the bad guys. So he divulges his full name and encourages me to have his jacket run. And lo and behold, when the report on him comes back, he's not in fact a bad guy. Unfortunately, in putting him in this very painful and uncomfortable position, I did damage to both of his hands, and they have never been right since. In one sense, yeah, I feel bad. I've made a good guy distinctly uncomfortable. But on the other hand, I was acting on what I had seen and observed and like that. So it's very much a mixed bag kind of feeling. I feel bad about, jacking up the guy's hands, but not terribly bad given that I was operating with an incomplete set of information.
You're doing the best you could. I was going to say, you're doing the best you could with the information you had.
Yep, you're reacting to the immediate situation. Well, when you're in security, that's kind of your MO, right? You do long-term threat assessments, but if you're doing close security, it is immediate interactions. You neutralize that threat right now, and I'm
a big believer in that.
Yeah.
See the threat, identify the threat, neutralize the threat.
100%, 100% agree. I'm gonna tell you to back off. If you don't back off, you should have listened. Sorry, you're a good guy, but you were in my bubble, and you really needed to not be.
Now, in all fairness to this guy, he has every reason to not think kindly of me or anything like that. But he never bore me any ill will or animus over that thing. Of course, nowadays he probably bears me ill will and malice or animus because of how I've treated my ex, which I can't fault him for.
Right.
That's fair.
But I can't fault him for that, and I'm grateful that he didn't bear me any ill will and accepted that. Okay, yeah, you were operating with this set of facts. I'm glad I was able to convince you.
Oh, I
Sounds like a
bet.
guy who had great situational awareness. I've had in the past, I think I've shared the story on here, where somebody has dealt me great bodily harm, and I got shot, and I 100% earned it, and I know why he did it, and because I know why he did it, and I felt like I deserved it. I don't bear him any ill will because of it, you know.
Let me guess, you take it more along the lines, it was my dumbass fault that I got shot.
Oh, 100% I earned that. 100% I earned it. Um, and I can laugh about it now. Wasn't laughing about it then, but I can laugh about it now. And I am glad I am no longer that dumbass. I do my very best to not put myself in situations where I will earn even stern words from somebody. I will just smile, nod, and walk away. But, young, full of testosterone, you do really dumb shit.
Yeah. As we used to say when I was coming up, young, dumb, and full of cum.
For sure.
Yeah.
That was me.
Yeah,
we were talking about
Tommy in the comment section has been dropping some really good stuff in here. Like he said earlier, I don't know if it was dropped in this podcast yet or not. Was the capacity or the capability to enact violence but know how to control it until it's necessary is paramount. And he also said, I've not always been the semi-well-adjusted individual I am today, but that is part of the aging process and gaining wisdom. Which I think that us and you guys are really a tribute to, or are not a tribute, a testament to that.
Yeah, well, you get wiser, you die. If you're gonna live a life of violence, like gain wisdom or die. Like, everyone's heard live by the sword, die by the sword. It's true, right? You only have a shelf life of so long if you're gonna live that life.
It's like there are great warriors and there are old warriors, but there are very rarely great old warriors.
There you go. For sure.
That's the fucking truth.
For sure. As you were saying earlier that you have in the pre-show you were talking about regrets. I'm kind of curious about what those regrets are, and I think forgiveness is a huge it is a huge part of a lot of our lives that we don't pay enough attention to. Forgiving ourselves for something. Some things I believe that I've done in the past that are unforgivable, and I'm just going to have to live with that because I earned that. But the things that maybe have not been so bad, I've learned to try to forgive myself for and forgive others for. What are some of those regrets, if you're comfortable talking about them, that you have?
I regret how I've treated my ex. I regret making the choice I made to just dive right in. I regret the harm to anybody that was on my side because of the things that I did to meet my objectives. And I have a feeling there may be questions in your chat about why I'm not going into a lot of detail. quite honestly, no small number of the things I did would not be approved of by law enforcement professionals.
I feel
In
that.
most countries and most municipalities, a proactive protecting of someone is not part of the rule of law.
No, they're definitely very reactionary.
Yeah. Yeah. In chat, Sarah had mentioned, forgiving others always seemed so much easier to her. And I had responded, right? I wish we learned to get better. I wish we could learn to get better at forgiving ourselves.
Yeah, and I threw in there that we are our own worst critics and we do judge ourselves the harshest.
Yeah. Those of us with a conscience. you know. Yeah.
Now, in terms of the pieces of shit that are pushing up daisies, no. I got done dealing with one of them motherfuckers and made a sandwich. I was hungry.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah.
That struck a chord with us that I haven't seen struck before.
Yeah. No, I can relate to that one. You're just well, yeah. The shirt I'm wearing today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Guys, I need just a few moments. My bladder's about to bust. So
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to mute myself, and I will be back directly.
All right then.
Yeah, I kind of felt that when I was talking to Geist originally that you and him would click pretty well.
Yeah. In some regards, definitely. Some of the things that we've heard today were a little shocking.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good message for people to hear that if you share things in your past that you've heard today, that does not need to define who you are tomorrow. You know, we part of the human condition is we're going to do things that are unforgivable. You know, but we can accept that we've done those things and we can do our best to make amends if they can be made amends for. Not everything can be. And we use that as fertilizer to grow a better life. One of the things that Sarah brings up about me is, and it concerns her about me, to be honest, is that I feel like I will deal with vast amounts of bullshit because I feel I'm paying penance for some of the things that I've done. And
almost like the heavens reward cognitive distortion, but without the
there you
reward.
Go. Oh yeah, no.
But like again, it's the whole thing of I earned this, I deserve to suffer.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
But
you
don't. And I'm siding with Sarah on this one. We're brothers. I love you to death. I'm siding with Sarah.
Yeah. It's weird. Like my tolerance for bullshit, of people I care about, like people going through bullshit that I care about, I have no tolerance for the bullshit dealt unto them. But I have a vast reservoir that could be filled. If I'm the only one in this situation who's suffering, then I'll eat it. And it's not healthy. I know it's not. And that's something I'm currently working on. I had a friend once who I was really still am close with, and they were in a rough part of their life, and I was being very what do you call it? I paid his bills. I funded his kids' Christmases. Generous. I was overly generous, and she felt that he was taking advantage. And I don't really. To this day, I don't think that. But I felt like because I had so much history with him and everything that we had gone through, I owed it to him to keep propping him up. And it took a very long time for me to understand that, like, yo, you're just enabling him. Um, and like today, like I stopped enabling him. He had a long spell of rough patches. But he now is super successful and great at what he does. And it was like an example of you know, those who aren't handed something to eat will find a way to find will forage for food, you know.
Yeah.
And he really did that.
And
But
I was going to say, I'm going to take from something that Sarah did say, and I'm going to just phrase it a little bit differently in that when you are suffering, those who love you also suffer. So is it really, even though you have that reservoir that you can hold a bunch of bullshit coming towards you, that bullshit does still splash on those around you. And you say that you don't have a reservoir for that.
yeah,
So you need to.
I never thought of that, and that's fuck, man, that's hard. You put
It
that
is
on me. But
dude,
yeah,
I say it with all the love in the world.
oh no, I mean it's true. Like just
because then that's you take that the bullshit that's going on to them is your bullshit by taking that bullshit.
Yeah,
dude, come on,
man. Truth hurts sometimes.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy to get through, but yeah, this is something to work on, brother. I got you, and I'll help you if I can.
For sure. Sarah has been amazing with that with me. Sarah is a fiercely protective woman. And one of the things that Sarah's been great at is protecting me from myself. And you can't ask for more. And I deal her so much grief for doing that. Right. But
if you read her comment, you probably wouldn't have had the impact had it been how I phrased it for you, I think.
Not just Mama Bear.
Yes, she is.
She just said, not just you who suffers either.
Yeah.
Yeah, she is Mama Bear. Ooh, and she's fucking fierce. Let me tell you. Most loving woman on the planet. But,
till you piss her off.
Oh, yeah. Like,
I know. You piss her off and she'll kill you with love.
Yeah, I mean, like, she'll, like, love me to death. Yeah, I'm a big dude, and, like, I'm not intimidated very often. But her, when she's mad, I'm like, my bad. That's when, like, the voice in my head starts screaming, like, dude, shut the fuck up. Just shut up. And usually it's like I gotta go back, hat in hand, calling to her to apologize because I pissed her off again, and she is thankfully forgiving. Thankfully.
So do you have more questions for Geist?
So you've been through a lot. You've put others through a lot. What if one of our listeners is living the life or a similar life or even a fraction of the life that you were before, what message could you give them about it?
Be careful of the choices you make. We'll start there.
Yeah.
I justified what I did to the nth degree, but at the end of the day, I made the choice. Get help. If you need to talk to a therapist, talk to one. If you need to go on medication to manage yourself, do that thing. And always remember that the gods saw fit to give you another day. You've won. Make the best of it.
It's a solid message. I think we've covered quite a bit in this episode.
Yeah.
I'm open to questions from your audience if they have any.
There's about a 6 to 8 second delay, and then they have to type, so we'll give them a little time.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, our chat is a little small at the moment because we're having issues with our website. So, some of our diehard fans, and who we interact with on a regular basis, understand how to get through so they can listen live. Eric is really fucking name drop. God damn it.
Yes, you did. Well, this whole episode has been name dropped, so I'm just kind of giving up on it.
Yeah. But he's trying hard to get it. Yeah, I'm gonna let you take the top comment because I can't pronounce two of those words.
It's in German here, so May. I gotta give a shout out to the Porch Drunkies. May's one of the Porch Drunkies. Got my first time ever on a podcast was their podcast. So this is their fault. She said at some point maybe Verwümsch will transform into Heilung.
Again?
Well, at some point maybe Verwümsch will transform into Heilung. Heilung.
Heilung. Okay.
All right, I got to Google that.
Yes, I don't know German well enough. I could pronounce it because I took enough German for that, but I don't know all the words.
I think it comes out to blessed.
Yeah.
Yeah, the context of it.
Let's see. I'm just getting a music group by that name.
Yeah, I did.
What is the meaning? It's German noun for healing.
Healing, yes.
Is the
define relief.
Tommy says, we took you to the edge, E. You had to decide to jump.
Yes, you guys did, and I still loved our episode that we had with you guys on this podcast. That was a great episode. Yeah, and my May just gave us the definition, the devastation healing.
Yeah, Cat's right. Everybody by this time definitely knows E's name.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then Sarah just threw out there, what did your healing process look like between your realizing what drove what you've become and finding who you've become? That's a good question.
Yes.
I can only say that I am still in the healing process, I believe. I'm still coming back to myself and trying to dealing with this creature inside me that I fed raw meat and nourished and gave him a long lead on and like that. So I'm still figuring it out. Do I feel like I'm better than I was now than I was, say, springtime? Yeah. The change in my thought around every day being a victory is fairly recent. I want to say it's about right around 4 months or thereabouts that I've been really working on that.
And I mean, honestly, just that mental shift alone is powerful.
Yeah.
And I can tell when I'm fully engaged in that, because all kinds of crazy, weird, cool shit happens. That's the only way I can describe it. Crazy, cool, weird shit.
That what you put forth comes back to you.
So true.
My not so good days where I'm having to remind myself, hey, dude, you won. No, really, dude, you won. Shut the fuck up, you won.
Every day above ground's a good day.
I was thinking that earlier. I just didn't fit it in. It's true.
then my days don't go quite so well.
So one question.
Is there anything that you do to when you find your days not going well to get yourself back on track? At least it doesn't have to be great, but just to get it to tolerable. You know what I mean?
I just keep reminding myself, dude, you already won. You
The
already
mantra.
won.
It's a good one.
And it's hard. I mean, I said earlier it's simple, but it ain't fucking easy.
Yeah.
I used to hate my teachers for telling me that.
Yep.
My sensei would go, "This is simple," and then he'd laugh and go, "It's not easy." Like,
You probably weren't in the place to be able to really grasp that concept, and that's what
Yeah.
pissed you off, is what I'm thinking. Because that's how I react to that kind of shit too. I'm like, the fuck are you talking about? Well, I'm not ready to understand it yet.
I got that. It just made me think. This guy Eric was teaching me Wing Chun when I was younger, and one of the first things he taught me was a duck stance. Duck stance. Really, really awkward stance. I don't know how it can be helpful in an altercation at all, other than teaching you discipline to be uncomfortable. That was it. Like that was he didn't use those words, but it was like it's very simple. It's a simple stance, but that shit definitely ain't easy.
mm-hmm.
You know, standing up tall as an individual. It's a simple concept, but it ain't easy. Doing the right thing.
Simple concept.
It's really simple, but the shit ain't easy. You know.
And my first go-to thought when somebody pisses me off, how quickly can I break this motherfucker off?
Yep. Yeah.
Let's see. I'll take that knee. I'll take that elbow. How about a collarbone? Maybe both of them. You know,
Yep.
You'll live.
Yeah. Yeah. My mind goes to the same spot. Like somebody's just be loud and annoying, or they're overly boisterous and they're in my bubble. I'm like, I can make this end in less than a second. But that's awesome then. That's not awesome now. And it's
Exactly.
I just like now it's like, cool story, dude. Tell it again and walk away. Like
what's awesome now is that you don't go there. Mentally you do, but you make the choice to restrain yourself from actually going through with it. And that in itself is awesome.
Yeah.
Can't say it wouldn't be gratifying.
Fucking truth. There's some people who I want to be the mute button. But
I think we all have that. I think we all have someone like that.
Yeah, it's not the right thing to do all the time. I'm not going to say it's always the wrong thing, because I'd be lying if I said I believe that. But
I like what May just said. Traction is better than death, but healthy communication trumps both.
May's killing it. Yep, that's true.
And wisdom transcends ego.
I'm sorry?
And wisdom transcends ego.
Yeah.
So,
ego is still something I battle with on a regular basis.
So I do have one question for you guys. Now, like for me, I've always noticed that for a lot of people that there's like a moment of clarity. Like when it's just that moment you're like, I keep doing this, shit's going to end poorly. I need to make a change now. Did you have a moment? Or is this kind of a gradual thing?
Great question.
I've had moments of clarity in my past. I think where I'm at now is less as a result of a moment of clarity and more of my making a choice and sticking with it and just doing what I can to move on it.
Was there something that made you want to make that choice? Did you wake up one day and just have that moment of clarity? I've been blessed to wake up like I was selling copious amounts of something I'm not going to mention here, and I was living high on the hog, and I literally woke up one day and I was like, this life isn't for me. I gotta stop doing it. I gotta go clean. and I need to get out of this life. And it wasn't anything specific that happened. It wasn't like somebody got busted or something tragic happened, because I just woke up one day. I've also had things where there in my life where there has been direct cause and effect. Like my best friend getting 2.5 DUIs. I'll tell that story in another show, or hopefully I'll get him on to tell himself. And so if I have a sip of beer at 8 a.m., I am not driving for the rest of the day. I've learned through his mistakes. Was there something that happened in your life recently? Because you said this is like recent change of mindset that you've won, and kind of, it sounds like, mapping out what your moral compass should be. But is there anything specific that happened to start this change?
I think a couple of things. Or at least a couple of things have jumped out. So, a woman told me I was creepy one day.
That'd definitely get me to think about some things.
Yeah.
As she was making tracks as quickly as she could. And another gentleman shamed me and made me feel guilty about putting my hand out. And
I think that's dangerous. If it's anything from asking for help for anything, if it's panhandling, if it is having your hand out in any kind of way, is showing vulnerability. And if you knock somebody for being vulnerable, those are the people I want to put a mute button on. Like it takes one of the things that we're trying to instill in Sarah's son is that it often takes more strength and I try to instill this in my own daughter. It takes more strength to show vulnerability. Not that he has a problem with it, that her son is a beautiful child, than it does to have a facade of being strong. It's easy to keep a stiff upper lip, to not show anything, to be the tough guy, to be.
Well, my ex used to call me out for not expressing anything all the time.
You just described every relationship I've been in. So it's like, I'm not a mind reader. Like I don't know what you're feeling if you're not telling me. So I had to learn how to get better at communication.
There's only so much you can show on your face, and if you're really good at schooling your face, you show nothing.
That's been part of my problem. Is like Sarah's like, you can't hide shit. You have no poker face at all. If you're mad, I know you're mad. If
so just tell me why.
Exactly. And I always say the same thing. No, I'm all right. And she's like, you're obviously not. No, I am.
Your lying eyes are saying otherwise.
Right? But that's where the strength came in for me. It's just really hard for me to start talking about of when things are bothering me, or when I do need help. I fought therapy forever. I don't need therapy. I'm the guy that people go to for help. And therapists can't tell me shit. Therapist told me a lot. I was like, oh.
Therapist wrecked your little world of that thought process.
Oh, yeah. Shattered that ego. And I was like, oh, I belong right here in therapy. Can I come twice a week? And that so helpful.
And Sarah just threw out, we had that a couple days ago. You're getting better, though. I have a tendency to shut down even though I want to talk, which double sucks.
Yeah. I get all stoic. She wants to talk, but she shuts down. I'm just like ostrich, my head in the sand sometimes, and I don't not talking about it. It makes her very uncomfortable. situation. And kind of like we were talking about earlier, like that, like putting up with stuff, putting up my own bullshit even splashes around everybody. Like I notice, like when I get like that and I'm upset, I don't talk about it, even though I'm not broadcasting how I feel, or probably because I'm not broadcasting or talking about it at all. It's like, I have a roommate and my brother lives with us, and they barely come out of their rooms as it is, but they for damn sure do not leave. Their doors stay closed. They don't come out their rooms when I'm in a mood. And just what I've learned is if I just sit down and talk to Sarah, it doesn't have to be about her, just whatever's bugging me. And I talk to Sarah or I talk to somebody, I talk to E, I call one of my friends, I get shit out. I stop radiating this whatever it is I'm feeling. All of a sudden, like, my brother comes out and he's social. My roommate comes out, and he wants to tell me a dad joke. And it's the changes the positive changes that cascade from those are pretty amazing. The one thing I gotta say about Sarah is no matter how I am, where everybody else is hiding, she engages more. And her son, I was talking about how he's a beautiful child earlier. When something's wrong with me, I can seem extremely pissed off. I don't get more hugs from him than when there's something wrong with me. Kids fucking know. And he'll come up, he's like, "You want a hug?" I'm like, "Always, buddy." And that's the one, like, he will just break through that shield of anger. I'm like tearing up talking about it, and I wish I had a little bit of that in me.
You do have a little bit of it in you. You wouldn't be tearing up otherwise. It's resonating.
No, I don't know what you're talking about. That in me.
Yeah.
Yeah, your lying eyes are telling me otherwise. You're tearing up, misty eyes. Don't try that shit with me. I may not have that violent background that you do, but I can read you like a fucking book, dude.
Yeah, well, I mean, Sarah says it's pretty easy, and you know me better than a lot of people, so I'm sure it's extra easy for you.
Well, part of my survival, not being a very violent person, was being able to read people.
Yeah, you get really good at reading people. You're able to avoid things or steer situations in completely different, redirect, which is pretty important. Let's see, we got a couple of comments here. May says, "I can totally get that." Sarah said, "We had it a couple of days ago."
Yeah, I just read that one.
Better though. Okay, and then May says, "I can totally get that, Sarah. My brain goes into overdrive when I'm overwhelmed, and I want to sit in the space where I can understand the chaos before I even attempt to have anyone else understand."
Which I get that. If I don't know what's going on inside myself, I can't communicate it.
Yeah. Part of my problem is I make assumptions about myself. It's like, you think you know yourself. I think I know myself. I know where I'm at, and I don't.
Part of the problem is that you can't see the forest because of all the trees. You're too in on yourself. You're too close.
Hella. That is the truth. Yeah. May says or Bay, I don't know.
Yeah.
So Bay says, "I come off as aloof, but think my brain has it out for me." And Sarah in chat also responded to that, saying, "Yeah, that also get in a space where I don't think anyone will care, so I just sit there and spiral. I have to force myself to come forward with it. If someone pushes me a little bit, I spill." Yeah, I think there's also a powerful message in all of that, which is if we see somebody who may be struggling, maybe angry, maybe sad, even happy, let's celebrate the happiness too.
Yeah.
That ask them about it, talk about it, give them the opportunity to say, "I don't want to talk about it," rather than assuming they don't. Right. You could learn something. You could help someone. I've helped people move. I've helped people fix their cars. I've helped people do some monumental physical tasks, and I don't think any of those things I've done to help people have ever been as helpful as the people who I sat down, gave them time, and gave them the opportunity to have somebody just listen.
Yeah.
And May just dropped something powerful. It's from a meme. It says, if you think everyone hates you, sleep. If you hate everyone, eat. If you hate yourself, take a shower.
Wash that shit away.
That makes so much sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. I'm down with the eating part. You don't get to be my size by not.
I've lost 10 pounds this year.
Oh, man. Well, I think I caught him.
I'm used to catching them. I'm glad that I'm not this time.
Sarah and I just had to talk about this, that, we're like, do we need to ban ice cream in the house? Because we're Ben and Jerry fans, and when we sit down to have ice cream, we don't have, well, she has willpower. I have none. If I'm eating ice cream, I'm eating a full pint. There's no, if I'm eating less than a pint, it's because Sarah got to it before me and just took a couple of smart bites because she has discipline.
I eat until I can't eat anymore.
It,
a pint's not enough.
Was it? I don't eat until I'm full. I eat until I hate myself.
Oh no, I eat until I get that, I'm so happy and full and uncomfortable, but I love it.
Yeah, I'm trying to get away from that. So, guys, is there anything? We've had a pretty awesome show. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with us tonight? You offered some great advice to somebody who was possibly in the situation that you were. I think that the whole message of you woke up today, you won. You have another day, you won. Yeah, is amazing. Any other anything else? Words of wisdom you'd like to share before we go ahead and close today's episode down?
I can't think of anything. I will say that anything I've said is only as valuable as the person receiving it makes it. If you find it useful, by all means use it. If you don't, kick it to the curb and move on to the next thing, and maybe that'll work.
Yeah.
So
we have to be receptive of wisdom for it to imprint anything on us.
Yes. So how about this? Let me try phrasing this way for if God forbid, but if tonight were your last night on Earth, what would your final message be?
I'm sorry.
That's powerful.
For everything I've ever done.
It is.
I wouldn't say that you should be sorry for everything you've ever done. You've made a positive impact on my life. I wouldn't feel sorry for that.
I was being very general.
I get that. Ooh.
I'm truly sorry for all the fucked upery that I have enacted in this world.
Actually, Tommy just threw in a great question that we can't ignore.
Okay.
Have you ever overcompensated on actions because you were trying to make it right, not only by your company, but also because of your own judgment?
Yes. Absolutely. I thought I knew best.
Overcompensate?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I thought I knew best. So by God, you're going to do it the way I want it, or you're fucking done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My Achilles heel has been my righteous indignation. When I feel that it is, I am right. I will go way harder than I should. And that is in an argument, that is in trying to fix something. And that is even showing too much care to somebody who doesn't want it at times. You know, they need it, so I'm going to love you to death. You know,
and I'm just
smothering.
Preach. That's right, me right there too. But we did get a last ending here. Tommy did say "be human" as a good message. Kat's thanking for sharing your story, or part of your story with us. Sarah's definitely thank you. And seriously, guys, thank you very much. I'm so glad that we struck up that conversation in that corner store. Honestly, you may not see it yet, but I see that me running into you as a blessing in my life. And I hope one day that you can view yourself more towards how I see you than you see through the lens of your past, if that makes sense.
It does.
Yeah, it was great meeting you guys, and I appreciate you coming on the show and sharing parts of your life story. I'm sure somebody who listens to this is going to be able to make parallels. I hope it gives somebody hope and strength to make the changes that they need to, and maybe even be accepting of the changes in somebody's life that they know who may have had a similar past, who may be different today. Because, you know, we have to live with the things that we've done, and there's echoes of the past that will always come back from the things we've done. But like I said before, it doesn't dictate who we are today. And it sounds like you are a far better human being today than you were yesteryear. Right? It's the day you stop growing is the day you stop living. And you have today, Sig 1, you're definitely still living.
Yeah, I'm going to be taking on that you won today mentality.
Yeah.
That's going along with my no bad days mentality.
There we go.
All right, guys, thank you again.
My pleasure.
Next week, remember just last week, I think it was, when we were talking to Nick, who had the stillborn child, and he and his wife are better for it, the blessing in disguise. Well, the wife is coming on next week. So that's going to be a great episode as well. We get the other side of the story, something that's you don't get too often.
Sarah's super excited.
Sarah's going to be the co-host. Yeah, Austin's going to be taking the chat seat. So
yeah, I would. It'd be like a fight to the death if I tried to co-host on that. I would have an accident. Somebody would leave some, like, I don't know.
I heard about his and hers chainsaws.
Yeah, we do. We actually have his and hers chainsaws. Like, we're those country folk now. I showed up at my buddy's house today with mine, and I've got like a 26-inch bar on it. And he's like, overcompensating much? I'm like, holy. I mean, I can't afford the diesel truck, so.
I'm just doing a Zoom call right here, darling.
All right, so yeah, let's go ahead and we're gonna call it, and until next week, I'm E.
Yeah. Give me just a second.
I'm off.
I'm gonna go.
We'll catch you guys next week.
All right.